There we go. Last
I do
three.
every day.
All right, I'm not recording yet, so I could sing that song. Oh, remember a Floyd Turbo when Carson did Floyd Turbo, the guy with the Elmer Fudd jacket, the hunting jacket, and then he did Karnak the Magnificent, right? And that blonde got killed. I heard Carol Wayne, I think her name was the blonde that used to work with him.
I believe so.
Yeah,
How'd she die?
she's murdered. I think she was moited. I think
Surprise, surprise.
who knows what she did in her spare time. You know who she hung out with. But what I liked about her, well, besides her breasts, I liked the fact that she didn't stick her tongue out sideways like Miley Cyrus. She was a little normal.
These girls nowadays are disgusting.
Oh gosh. Well, when I said I got a humdinger, I mean it. All right, I'm going to go on the air now. Okay. Greetings, everyone. Greetings and welcome to Progressive Discussions. I am here. Of course, I'm here. You see me, James P. Madonna of Megalife 21, and I am here with my co-host for this week, Dr. Remulak. Don't tread on me. And since he is here and we are beginning, we need 7 lucky bells for this show. There you go. Okay. Here we go. I want to talk about the American education and healthcare system with a true story. The story will begin with a conversation I had with a substitute caregiver that came from my mother this week, one day. She's almost 30 years old. She went to Berkeley College in New Jersey. She earned a bachelor's degree in business. Well, what happened to her did not surprise me because it's very common nowadays. She can't get hired as an entry-level college graduate because she does not have 5 years or more experience. Now, I told her, you're too young to remember this, even though your story is really infuriating, frustrating, and tragic. Back in the 70s, there was an old commercial where this Indian guy says, how can you get a job without experience, and how can you get experience without a job? Well, she owes $25,000 in student loans, and she doesn't know how to pay it back because she cannot get that first full-time entry-level job with this 4-year bachelor's degree from Berkeley College. And the representative of Berkeley College told her, we are under no obligation to tell you what programs are out there to benefit you. And that's because she found out that she can get more money to continue her education. And the woman just didn't feel like telling her she was being a bitch. So the point is, she's in the red, 25 grand. She can't get hired. She has no experience. And what these schools do is aside from privatized prisons getting free slave labor, okay, what they do is they send last year senior students to work for college or tech school credit as interns. So they're working for free as interns. When they graduate, another busload of interns goes out there in the workforce to work for free for another year, another semester, and then it goes on and on and on. It's a revolving door. It's a constant cycle of free slave labor. Gee, don't these companies love that? So how the hell, between that and outsourcing, how are these kids, how are these young people, or even, not so young people, that put themselves in debt, get the college degree, can't get hired without experience? Somebody's got to give them a chance to get experience naturally. So it's like, what's the word? Catch 22? Is that what they call it? You know, it's catch-22.
That's exactly what they call it.
Catch-22. You know,
And that's what it is.
It's
Let's get you in debt. Let's get you in debt by putting you in college, promising you a great future, because without that college degree, you're not going to have a future, you know. And then when you get in the workforce, you're asked in the A.
Yeah, it's a revolving door to being a lemming, a sucker, a sheeple, getting nowhere, but being lied to by our oligarch-controlled media, being lied to by our politicians, just being plain old suckers, you know, to simplify things, and it's really a sad situation. And what I'm going to hold up now, which you cannot see, is something I got in the mail. It's from Lifeline Screening. It is a high-tech, state-of-the-art new electronic device that where you don't have to disrobe, you can keep your clothes on. They put this object up against your carotid artery, your jugular vein, and they're able to totally scan the health and integrity of your cardiovascular system, including all of your arteries and everything, and let you know if you have any blockage. So they're inviting me, this is funny, call to reserve your time, and I'm going to hold it up. The closest one is in Garfield, New Jersey, on, I believe, Outwater Lane, 340 Outwater Lane, Garfield, New Jersey. Lifeline Screening. Okay, and there's a lovely image here of a big artery, a healthy artery versus a clogged artery. And there's the device. There's somebody getting the scanning. So I called up. Sounded like it was complimentary. Yeah, fat chance. They told me not only will it come out of my pocket, but my health insurance with United Healthcare, including my Medicare, will not pay for this. So this will totally come out of my pocket. I said, you know what? I'm going to do a show, and then I'm going to file it under G for garbage, as in garbage field. I'm going to file it because
the old round file.
I'm not paying out of pocket for this. What do you mean my insurance won't cover it? Nothing will cover it? Oh, no, you got to pay out of pocket. I says, you know what you sound like? You sound like those walk-in urgent cares that don't want to take Medicare. They don't want to take Medicaid. Oh, I don't like that insurance. I don't like this insurance. It's like, you know, as we say in Italian, uffa, you know, it's like they got you over a barrel. Yeah,
always do.
Yeah, and so Lifeline Screening, you are hereby inducted into the Chislers Hall of Shame for expecting people to pay out of pocket for this state-of-the-art, high-tech screening device, which looks lovely, but I'm sorry, I'm not paying out of pocket for this. That's the end of that. All right. Millennial. So before you chew your last morsel of food, I might as well do the weekly millennial report, because it's not that long, but it'll surprise you. I'm at the lunch buffet today, right? The Royal Hibachi and Grill Royal Hibachi Grill Buffet. You know, on Friday, Saddlebrook, New Jersey. I went there. And I'm sitting there about halfway through the lunch buffet, and this millennial, this young Middle Eastern man with no accent, he's totally Americanized. He speaks like you and I, except with a higher pitched voice. He comes over and attempts to grab all of my napkins off my table that are right next to me. Had a stack of napkins. He attempts to grab them instead of go ask his waitress for napkins. And as he's grabbing them, he says, "Oh, can I have these?" I go, "No, you can't have them because I'm using them." I says, "Why don't you ask your waitress?" The guy doesn't even say, "Excuse me, sir, can I please have some of these napkins?" No, he wants to take them all. He like an entitled little bitch. He wants to grab them all. I go, no, you can't. They're mine. What am I supposed to use? I'm supposed to get a greasy roast duck all of my fingers and like get it on my iPhone and everything. You know, I mean, you know, ask your waitress. You know, don't grab and say, "Oh, I need some." I mean, what the fuck? I mean, I need some too. You know, I mean, I don't know. It's just the way he did it. He didn't like politely ask me, "Oh, can I have like several?" While before, you know, I flagged down my waitress. So that's my weekly millennial rant report for millennials. So anyway, I've said plenty for now. Let me turn it over while I drink some lovely Yinling Lager, America's oldest brewery. There you go, 1829. I believe it's Pottsville, Pennsylvania. There you go.
It is Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
That's right, Yinling, America's oldest brewery. All right. Take it over, Dr. Remulag.
Well, you know, touching on the base of the millennials, again, you've got to look at the upbringing of the millennials, which is, I guess you would say, unfortunate, inadequate, and reprehensible. And again, you know, we've discussed millennials every show, and I see them getting worse and worse. Just the complete lack of the moral compass and the lack of intelligence and critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
You don't reach into somebody's meal or you don't reach into somebody's table and say, "I'm grabbing these." That's not fair. Number one, I don't know where your hands have been. I don't know if you've cleaned your hands. And I don't want you reaching over my food. That's rude. The people have not been taught manners. And that's a big problem in our country. It's a big problem worldwide. But, you know, we don't see that because we're not around the world. You had mentioned the oligarchy and the lying media. I got to be honest, I'm a subscriber to Newsmax. And every story that I've gotten emailed to me, I've read, and then I would do the research on, and they were 100% accurate, so I'll give them credit. I'm just worried that we still haven't woken enough people up to realize that, like you said about, oh, you can come in and reserve your free screening, but we don't take health insurance. I don't get it. And I guarantee you, James, 80% of the people that received that notice went there, and after the screening was done, they got screwed and got tricked into paying the full price.
They got a big juicy bill in the mail, I bet.
Well, they probably didn't even get it in the mail. They probably got it handed to them right there. And being the credit country we are, I guarantee they paid it on a credit card. We are at a crossroads in this country. We've been at this crossroads now since before President Trump was elected.
Right.
We were at this crossroads in 2000. And then 2001 happened, and no one wants to see what's really going on because, again, it's scary. James, people that see the truth are usually the guys like you and I who sit there and say, well, you know, I could tell them about this, but it's almost like sitting somebody down and telling them, hey, you've got cancer. Should we just let it go and fester, or should we tell the people? I'm in a field now where I work with a lot of liberals. These people are brainwashed. They're progressives, hardcore progressives.
Oh, they're politically correct neoliberals.
Yeah, they're neoliberal progressive. Let's call them what they are. They're socialist Nazis, but they don't speak German.
Well, not Nazi is when the corporation controls the country, as by definition, by Webster. And fascism. I'm sorry, fascism.
And the corporations don't control our country. How?
Oh, they do. They do.
Okay.
But I'm saying
Most of these political correct neo-progressives or neoliberals work for those corporations. Google, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I've got a buddy of mine who lives in the snow belt way out in Midwest, and he sent me a picture on my phone of his new snowblower attachment that goes on the front of his truck, and it's a 12-foot wide snowblower.
Wow.
It's a beautiful piece of equipment.
Wow.
And on the front of it, he put the words protester mover. And he put that picture on Twitter. And would you believe in less than 12 hours, his Twitter account was suspended for life?
For life.
So, neo-Nazis, whatever you want to call them, if you don't believe in hard work and the American dream, and first and foremost, I would put the Constitution, then you don't deserve the rights afforded to the rest of us with the Constitution. And where I work, there's a lot of people that are here, you know, unlawfully, criminally trespassing, and they're working. And I heard an argument today in the distance about this guy saying he had rights, he's got rights. And one of the other people at the job said, "You're here unlawfully. You have no rights. The Constitution does not apply to you."
Only if he's here legally does he have rights. If he goes
does
to
he
the
have
process
constitutional rights? You are correct. and this is, I mean, we could go round and round all day long. I mean, our president currently got 3 people released from prison in North Korea last night.
That is
These
true.
Guys got released.
But don't forget.
And everybody in the media, everybody on the left, oh, it's a political stunt, it's this, it's that, and it's just the other. And then Obama gave up 6 terrorists, known terrorists, to be free again for one Iranian
But be
hostage.
wary of Kim Jong-un, because he tortured some of, I don't know how many other Americans to death. I mean, you know, he's no angel.
Well, and I mean, you were more alive during the Reagan administration, and he had this whole idea of peace through strength, where you don't back down, you stand your ground, and you say, look, you're going to do it right or you're not going to do it. End of story.
Yeah, like with the Cuban Missile Crisis, what happened then?
Exactly.
You know,
and that got Kennedy killed.
Well, Kennedy.
That and that speech. I don't know if you've ever heard that. I don't know if you ever listened to that speech.
I did.
And did you? And you listened to it and you understood it. And less than a year later, that man was murdered.
Well, he kind of called out the secret, the New World Order, so to speak. He blew the whistle.
The difference is then the people, the sheeple, the lemmings, were completely unaware of it. But when he got murdered, that opened a bunch of people's eyes, and people like Alex Jones's father, who was a dentist and worked for the government, saw these things and raised his son to be against that. You are a free man in a free society, in one nation under God. That's what it is. And that is where, I think that is why the left is fighting so hard, because everything that the left is pushing, these neoliberals, like you call them, we'll call them that because that's what they are. These neoliberals,
they're extremists,
are doing everything against what the Bible tells you. And our laws are based in the Bible, and it's based in common sense.
Well,
and unfortunately, James, most people don't have either one of those.
Well, there's an awful lot of hypocrites out there that don't, you know, that are trying to rewrite the Bible, and that's a violation of the last chapter of Revelation, as you well know.
That's right.
You know,
that's right. And I mean, look at this guy in New York. Look at the Attorney General from New York.
Yeah.
Look at this guy going after Weinstein, going after this one, going after that one. We need equal rights, the Me Too movement, this, that, and the other thing. And it turns out he was beating and choking women while he was having sex with them.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know,
So don't give me your hypocritical bullshit line where you're better than me, and yet your morals have been at the base of the toilet for the past 30 years of your existence.
it's like the
Don't
Pope.
give me that
It's
shit.
like the Roman Catholic Church during the Middle Ages. The popes do as I say, not as I do. You know,
That's right.
It's hypocrisy. Hypocrisy used to really piss off God. For those that know your Bible, you know, God was not
Why do
crazy
you
about
think?
hypocrisy.
Why do you think this stuff is happening now? You think this is not by design?
I think there's a lot of
We
punishments going on.
knew this uprising was coming. I've been screaming it for 10 years. You've probably been screaming it longer than that. And no one wanted to see it because, oh, I've got my smartphone. Oh, I can go to Backpage and get laid. Oh, I'm going to go to the club. Oh, I'm going to listen to this new rap song that literally eviscerates women, calls them bitches and hoes, and yet that's acceptable. And then nobody understands why you've got a generation of inner city people, white, black, Spanish, don't matter, that are completely rude and unruly and don't care about anything.
Well, there's a professional wrestling promotion run by Quentin Tarantino's buddy Robert Rodriguez called Lucha Underground from Los Angeles, where they have men wrestling females and beating the crap out of them and putting them through tables and ladders and onto concrete floors, and the millennials in the audience are screaming in joy like the Roman Colosseum. It's like almost like the bloodlust of Rome. You know,
deep down inside, we all know what is going on here. We all know it. We see it. But because of the repression from the neoliberal, you can't say this, you can't say that. Oh my God, did you hear what he said? No. You are not going to quell my freedom of speech.
Yeah, they fire
you. Because if you try to, after you fire me, I'm going to come back with the best lawyer I can find, and I'm going to destroy your company from top to bottom.
Good for you.
Because there's one thing behind me that I know most people in New Jersey do not have behind them. Well, there's two things I know that most people don't have behind them in New Jersey. One is the power of Jesus and God, and two is fact. Fact.
Yeah.
I was asked by a neighbor. He said, "You're a real asshole. How can you be such an asshole?" I said, "I can't stand out here and talk to you like this and be this big of an asshole without having fact to back it up."
Well,
today I went to cash my paycheck, and there was this older woman in front of me, and she was a busybody. She's talking to everybody. I just want to cash my check, get in my company vehicle, and go back to the job to make sure it's getting done. And she said, we started talking, and she saw me in my safety gear. She said, "Well, what do you do?" I said, "I'm a liaison to a siding and stone company." I said, I'm an American patriot, constitutionalist libertarian."
Right.
She said, "Oh, you support Trump." I said, "And?" I said, "Ma'am, with an IQ of 240, do you really want to have a debate about politics with me?" And she said, "No." I said, "Have a nice day, ma'am." Certain people can't get into politics because they don't have the wherewithal, the common sense, or the moral judgment to know what the hell they're talking about, James. Yeah. And other people use their emotions. It is not an emotional thing. It is not a personal thing. This is the way it needs to go to better the country.
Hey, you know, there are
End of story.
There are Americans like this female bartender at Pub 46 that that simply voted for John McCain's Sarah Palin ticket because she thought Sarah Palin was cute. I go, is that the only reason why you're voting for them? She says, yeah. I go, that's a stupid ass reason to vote for anybody. I mean, you know what the caregiver said to me, that we were talking about society of today, and dating and love relationships. She says, today people date and get involved and get married for convenience first, and then the love grows later. I says, well, I'm sorry, I cannot get intimate with someone unless I have the chemistry from day one. I says, you know what that sounds like? That sounds like a opportunistic, Ayn Rand, materialistic, perhaps sociopathic society. I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity and date this person for convenience, and then hopefully love will come later. I says, are you sure you didn't study Ayn Rand or Machiavelli or whatever? And she's like, oh, no, I never read her book. I go, well, read it. She professed selfishness as a virtue. It's like, hey, Satan is the father of lies, so if you're a truth teller, you're the opposite of Satan.
Well, what really gets me is the people that always have the kid before they're married. They have a child. How can you guarantee me, as a fellow citizen, that child is going to be raised properly? How can you guarantee me that?
Can't guarantee.
They said they don't have to. They said they don't have to.
You mean a single parent household? No, it's not going to be raised really properly all the way around.
It's not going to be raised. You're being too polite. A single mother or a single father does not have the capacity to raise a child and work and keep a safe household.
No,
they don't have that capacity.
It just can't be.
So why would you bring that child into the world knowing that you don't have anybody to help you out with it, knowing that odds are that child is going to end up in a lot of trouble or end up on SSRI drugs because you don't have two parents there. So since you don't have two parents there, you now, what are you relying on to raise that child when you're not there? Oh, a nanny who you don't know from Adam. Yeah, I did a background check on her. Great. The television, the computer, the video games, that's what's going to raise your child. And that's unacceptable. You have brought a life into this world. You knew you weren't going to marry the person, and you did it anyway. That is irresponsible on your part, and don't ask me to tell you that it's not, because that would be a lie. It's irresponsible.
A nanny will never be like a real maternal mother. Television and video games do not replace a parent. Gifts like a rich yuppie trying to buy love with constant gifts and spoiling and coddling a child with gifts, that doesn't replace real love.
Well, no, what that does is it makes a spoiled, rotten adult. When that child finally becomes old enough, he thinks or she thinks everything is just handed to you and you don't have to work.
Right.
And that is what destroyed the fabric of this society. And no one wants to hear that, because when they hear that, it's not destroyed. Really, it's not destroyed. Craigslist and Backpage had to pull down their ads for adult content because 14, 15, and 16-year-old African American and Latinos from the inner cities were selling their junk online to the highest bidder. And where do you think they learned this prostitution from?
Well, I
They
didn't
see
know.
it from their mother.
You see,
They see it from their mother, James.
I didn't
Because
know.
mommy gets a
Yeah.
mommy gets a check every month, and the more kids she has, the bigger the check is.
See, I didn't know that minors were responsible for the government closing down Backpage because
They found out that
excuse me.
60% of the kids, 60% of the people on there were under the age of 18.
Oh, that's why they closed it down. Okay, gotcha.
They closed it down because these kids were lying about their age so they could get paid to do really awful things. And quite frankly, that's unacceptable.
Well, you can forget
If
about
there would have been
girls.
two parents,
Yeah.
if there would have been two parents at home, it would have never gotten that far.
Well,
But there weren't.
girls are they're the total opposite of sugar and spice and everything nice. Like when I was a kid, forget about that. If you're what you're telling me, you know, and plus they freely put their naked bodies over the internet, which you know once you do that, it's gone. You're out there, baby. The whole town's gonna see it. Your entire school's gonna see that naked photo. Everybody,
Yep.
your relatives are gonna see it. Your cousins, your friends. Once you put those risque photos on the internet, boom, you're out there. You know,
And the biggest problem I have is that all these people will talk all the big game. Will say, "Oh well, it was the school's fault. It's the rap. You know, it's the music's fault."
Oh my God.
No. Here's the problem. The problem is that you have one parent at home. You have no oversight. And you notice how it always comes back to oversight?
Yeah.
You have no oversight of that child when you're not there. When you are there, you're too busy worrying about, am I going out tonight? Am I going to the club tonight? Because that's what happens when a 21-year-old has a child. That 21-year-old isn't an adult yet. Your brain is not fully functioning until you're 25.
Well, the funny part is they could drive at 7. They could work at 16 or 17, right? They could drive at 17.
Yep.
They could vote and go to war at 18. They can't drink until 21. It's like it's kind of weird when you think about it. You know, I mean, you know, they they shouldn't be able to do a lot of things until they're at least 21 in reality. But you know, it's the law. You know, hey, did I tell you the story about the time on Facebook I posted a comment about single mothers that allow their daughters to go to school, grammar school, high school, dressed like whores, like prostitutes, and even though an adult man can and should utilize self-control, the underage female is asking for nothing but trouble by leaving the house dressed like that, and the mother is responsible for her leaving the house dressed like that, and the school should never allow a minor female, an underage female, to enter the school building dressed like a prostitute. It is an invitation for nothing but trouble. Do you know how many women attacked me on Facebook when I made that statement, saying I'm a misogynist and I'm also deep down probably a pervert? I says, how do you figure that out? I must be hitting a raw nerve. I told him I must be hitting a raw nerve by making that statement. I says, are you a single mother that allows your daughter to dress like that? Because I'm obviously hitting a raw nerve here. Why are so many attacking me on something so logical and obvious? You know,
well, they're attacking you because they have no logic. You see, And here's another thing. And it goes back to IQs and the dumbing down. Everybody thinks, well, she's my daughter. She can dress how she wants.
Really?
No. And here's the problem.
Not a minor.
You have a responsibility to keep your child safe. And when you let your child leave the house in Daisy Dukes and a belly shirt.
And a belly shirt.
Okay?
With the hips sticking out, hip bones sticking out. Yeah.
The hip bones are sticking out. The belly shirt's there. They're foul-mouthed. Foul-mouthed. Oh, my God. Some of these women talk like truck drivers.
And you know they have deliberate tears in
hold
their
on,
Daisy.
hold on one second.
Okay.
I got to unplug something.
Okay.
So I don't burn up my battery here.
No, what I was going to say is they deliberately put tears where their ass cheeks should be in the Daisy Dukes. Like they put tears so their actual buttocks, a piece of their skin is shown.
And then when they do get assaulted,
right,
because we know it's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
When they do get assaulted, they want to blame everybody. Let me explain something to you. Women supposedly mature faster than men.
Supposedly, yeah.
And lately, the only thing I see maturing faster than men is their bodies. And you can thank the hormones in the food for that. You've got antibiotics and estrogen and all this other stuff in the foods.
Yeah, McDonald's hamburgers.
That are actually, oh God, all corn-fed. Not a bit of grass-fed beef there.
Loaded with hormones.
And that's what most of these kids are eating. Because again, you don't have two parents at home. So, what is mom going to bring home for dinner? What is mom going to bring home for dinner?
Fast food.
She brings home McDonald's, or she calls the Chinese food place.
They
bring the food to the house.
She's loading her daughters up with hormones. She's drinking milk.
She's loading her daughters. Let's call it what it is. She's loading her daughters up with toxins.
Toxins, right?
Toxins.
Well, look.
And here's the real problem with that.
Right.
You're making your daughter. Not only are you dumbing her down, but you are also making her a spectacle. The worst storage of children, and this is from Tommy Sotomayor, who I watch when I can. You know, if I'm on a long drive in the vehicle going to a job site somewhere in the distance,
right.
I'll set my YouTube to his channel and I'll listen to a few rants of his. And one of the rants was how the African American community is the worst stewards of children, because not only do they treat their daughters like crap, but they make their boys, they demonize their boys. So most of if you've ever done the research on this, and I have, most of the new homosexual class of people are coming directly out of single parent households. They're coming out of the African American community in droves. I met a gentleman in Patterson. His brothers are all gay. He is gay, and his mother is a lesbian.
Well, they don't have positive male role models in their lives growing up.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. And without a positive male role model in the household, odds are your child will be a homosexual.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's fine.
Right.
But don't push your stupidity on the rest of us.
Now,
you are born that way, fine, whatever. But don't make me have to worry about not being able to say the word faggot or cocksucker in a derogatory way.
Well,
because, quite frankly, that's impeding on my freedom of speech.
I look at it this way.
And, dude, I got no problem with two dudes making out. Just don't do it in front of me.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't care.
I have that right. I have that right as an American citizen with a Bill of Rights to say, you know what, dude? I don't want to see that. Sorry.
Well, what about,
I don't want to see it.
Well, what about the gay pride parade in Greenwich Village, where people have everything like, kind of hanging out here and there? It's public. It's still public. There could be children around. People don't want to see that. You know.
Opie and Anthony. You know, you remember the show from Opie and Anthony on
I know
WNEW 102
Opie and
point?
Anthony, yeah.
Okay. They got arrested and removed from the air for having a party bus with women in it dancing going down the streets of New York.
Oh, that with women? That's it.
And yet, the Gay Pride Parade and the Women's March was practically a pornography scene.
So in other
And
words, Howard.
And nobody said there's a double standard here,
In other
sir.
words, Howard Stern.
There's a double standard.
Howard Stern and Opie and Anthony are bad people, but it's okay for the Gay Pride Parade to do what they do. All right.
Yeah, exactly. And now that makes no sense, right? We both know that makes no sense. Absolutely none whatsoever.
Sense at all. No sense at all.
But in this new world's way of thinking, with the lack of common sense, moral compasses, and critical thinking skills, it's fine. And again, the biggest problem is the school system. I went for lunch today, James, and I went to this little deli over in Hawthorne called Pop's Deli. Pop's Breakfast and Lunch. It's on Central Ave. And I went in and I ordered a sandwich, and I've got a slight southern draw. And there was a couple sitting there. They were having lunch. And he said, "What part of South Carolina?" I said, "From the South." I said to him, and he said, "Well, we used to live in New Jersey. We lived in Fair Lawn, and we got the hell out of here." I said, "I did the same thing, but then I came back because I realized I didn't have enough for retirement." And they laughed, and we started talking. And by the time I left that place, I had met 4 people there, not including the deli owner, who were all saying to me the same thing. "When are you running for office?" I said, "I'd be dead in 6 months." Yeah. And the guy said, "You would, but you would have a movement behind you. You would be turned into a martyr."
Hey, Jesse Ventura says no politician's obligated to meet with lobbyists, and he had the feds in there his first day as governor of Minnesota. The feds were in there. I would say, "What the hell are you doing here? What are you spying on me?" You know, they were in there. But he's.
I don't want any special interest groups talking to any of the politicians that I elect, and I'll tell you why. They're my employees. They're my employees. It's the same way when I go into the office at where I work, and my boss, there's a request that you don't interrupt the secretaries because they are working, and he has 3 secretaries in there operating 3 different companies.
Right.
And he said, you can't sit there and talk to them because they don't get their work done in time, and then I get backups in the office. It's the policy. Now, today, Friday, the end of the day, I went in. It was the end of the day. The weekend's coming. I said, listen, have a great weekend, blah, 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 blah. And that's fine. But during the week, you can't sit here and talk to the secretaries because it's not social hour. We're working. He's the boss. I'm the employee. So I follow the orders.
Right.
When you elect a sheriff, a judge, a congressman, a senator, or any one of those things, we are collectively their bosses. We will have the town meetings and hash out our differences, and then we will tell you what we collectively want to do.
Right.
And that is something that got lost during the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution destroyed that because it used to be if you owned a farm, let's say in Sussex County, New Jersey, which, by the way, is a beautiful county.
Oh yeah.
If it wasn't laden, if it wasn't laden with fentanyl and heroin, it was a beautiful county. But now it's got the highest IV drug use in the state of New Jersey.
Really? Wow. You mean like Sparta and Vernon?
Sparta, Newton, Vernon, all of those areas, super high amounts of intravenous drug use. Why? Why? Well, how the fuck did the drugs get there? And let's look at it. Let's look at it, sir. What population moved in there under refugee or asylum seeker status? What people?
I don't know.
Central and South Americans. And unfortunately, and this is unfortunate because it's not only is it true, but it's just sad. And here it is. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
These folks have been since the beginning of time, because you got to understand that those native people that were there before European Spain, okay, those native people were Native Americans.
Right.
They were Native South Americans, but they were still American. And they worshiped the sun gods. The Aztec beheaded...
Baal, the sun god. Yeah.
No, it was different than that. But Aztecs, Mayans, and the other native South Americans were all real violent, vicious people. These people put their first... These people beheaded people, ripped out people's hearts while they were still living.
Well, they made blood sacrifices to
exactly.
the gods. Yeah.
And now, as soon as the Spaniards came in and tried to conquer them, which took them quite a while, they now got kind of Europeanized. They started learning how to move the products they had.
Yeah, well, they used to sacrifice virgin young children.
Well, so what they do now is the same thing they did 20,000 years ago. You still have groups from down there, not all. You still have groups from down there that are cutting people apart in New York City, and in rural West Virginia, there is a group of MS-13 members.
Did you know that they found a headless goat in the woods of Elmwood Park, New Jersey? It was in.
Hold on, you just blew my mind. I didn't know there were any. Oh wait. I didn't know there were any wooded parts of Elmwood Park.
Let me explain, like Desi Arnaz said to Lucy. Let me explain.
You explain.
Let me explain.
You explain right now. Listen.
All right, now there is a patch of forest there, and this came from. I subscribe to NorthJersey.com, and they tell me, they tell me, they found the body in Passaic River in Kearney, New Jersey. They find a body here, a body there. Anyway, there was a headless goat, which sounds like a satanic ritual to me.
Definitely paganism.
There's a patch of forest because my brother-in-law, who lives in Elmwood Park, who's a deer hunter, who has to go up to the Adirondacks to sit in a tree stand to wait for a big buck to come down. He walks out of his front door to go to work because he's part owner of a business that sells tires. He walks out of his house and he sees a doe with a couple fawns staring him down right on his front lawn in Elmwood Park. And there is a patch of forest. There's also an outstanding, well-stocked section of the Passaic River that is fresh water in Elmwood Park, where you can go, and they got muskellunge, which is musky, northern pike, pickerel, bass, everything there, But anyway,
Can I ask you a question regarding that?
Go ahead.
Would you ever fish and eat anything that comes out of that section of the Passaic River?
I would not physically consume anything from New Jersey or New York because the government states that because of PCBs and mercury, or as my grandfather used to say, mercury. He couldn't pronounce mercury.
Mercury?
Mercury.
Mercury in the water. What?
Mercury. Mercury. I had a cougar one time.
What, do you drive a Mercury or are you drinking Mercury?
No. Yeah, that's all I have to do is drink liquid mercury. Yeah, right. So anyway, no, I would not consume it. I would probably catch and release for the sport of it.
So then, here's the question for you.
Yeah.
You would catch and release them. Okay.
Right.
Well, if you wouldn't put that food or that fish in your body to consume it.
Yeah.
Why would you even touch it? Because it only takes 28 seconds for anything that goes on the surface of your skin,
Right.
that's liquid,
Right.
to get into your bloodstream.
Well, you got a point. If there's toxins inside of the bass, let's say, and
Yeah.
fish have a protective slime coat on their scales. So if it's inside
Yeah, but that
the
slime
fish,
coat now has that chemical on it.
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But here's the really damning question is this, James. Why the hell is New Jersey wasting tax dollars on stocking a section of the Passaic River that may or may not contain tons of fucking toxins? Why are we wasting tax dollars on this, James? And that's the root of the problem, too. We've got a lot of wasteness. We've got wastefulness.
There's no logical reason.
I'm not. You're right. There's no logical reason. You hit the nail on the head again, thanks to your age and your wisdom. Because here's the deal.
Yeah.
We have a wasteful government. A governor currently that just put forth money to put people up in houses. Taxpayer dollars. We will be bankrupt under this regime in 2 years. In 2 years.
Now, if
we are ready as New Jerseyans, I'll finish on this.
Yeah.
We are ready as New Jerseyans, morally bankrupt. Most of us, most of the collective, seem to me anyway, like they're morally bankrupt.
Well, New Jersey's.
So what's it matter if you're financially bankrupt at that point?
New Jersey's loaded with corruption. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, morally bankrupt people running your life and mine.
Look at Patterson.
Now, you're right. It's a free... Oh, God. It's a free country. You're right. I could get up and go to another state. You're right.
I mean,
and I have the means to do it.
Now,
I have the means to do it.
Now getting...
But
yeah.
Why would I want to... Now I've got to go find another job,
right.
Get my references back together, throw my resume back out there, take the chance of getting hacked again, take the chance of having my information stolen or my identity stolen.
Right.
You know, I mean, why would I do this? Yeah, I can fight the corruption right here, and that's what needs to do. That's what needs to be done.
Now, if they took,
I'll give the floor to you.
If they took some of the money from the cost of from the revenue collected from freshwater fishing licensing and trout stamps and all that, and they use that money that people pay for licensing to stock bodies of water, that might not be all that bad, because there are people that do it.
So wait a minute.
Huh?
Wait a minute. You're telling me not only am I paying with my tax dollars to support the fish, game, and wildlife resources for the state of New Jersey.
Right.
Which there are a lot of members that I'm paying into pension funds, I'm paying health benefits, I'm paying their salaries,
right.
I'm buying them vehicles, I'm paying for their training. Okay? Now you're going to charge me to go fishing in the state that I already pay massive amounts of money to remain in.
Yeah, they charge you for freshwater. You got to pay for a freshwater fishing license and a trout stamp. Besides,
Who says you got to pay for that?
Well, the state does that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You also have to get a permit. Yeah, but this is not. It's not over. You also have to get a permit to trap bait fish in New Jersey, like killies and things like. You got to have a permit for every freaking thing. You got to pay. I mean, come on, man.
So
give me a break.
Why are you still putting up with it?
Well, I stopped.
Have you been watching the news?
I sold my fishing poles.
No. Let me ask you a question. Have you been watching the news?
Yeah, I've been watching.
Have you seen the resistance movement from the right from the constitutionalist Americans
No, they never really
In
televised. They don't televise that.
in California. You got to watch Fox News, I'm telling you. And it's all over
I don't want to
YouTube.
watch that. They're
It's
like-
all over YouTube. You know what? You
it's
need to look at Grinnell 61.
I know they have very buxomy women on Fox News, but you know,
Well, it's not why I watch it.
I don't want to
I
watch.
watch it
I don't want to
because-
watch biased news. That's the problem.
It's not biased. They just report the facts. They don't give their opinions. They don't give their opinions.
Right.
That's one thing I've noticed about that channel, is they report what's there.
Now,
This is what's happening. They have a person on that supports it. They have a person on that supports it, and they have a person on that's against it.
now I had
And then they have a little debate, and that's great.
Now I had a question for the since the caregiver was so highly intelligent. I says I mentioned I says, how come Anderson Cooper always seems to be representing the establishment, and anybody he interviews, if you're like you know, if you dare to tell the real truth, he like tries to trip you up and ask you, you know, and get under your skin and push your buttons. And she says, did you know Anderson Cooper was born with a golden spoon in his mouth, not a silver spoon? That he was born rich,
Yeah.
and he's really
His last name isn't Cooper. His last name is not Cooper. His last name is Vanderbilt.
oh really, and he's like, you know, he's
And
really
he was in the CIA before he was a CNN reporter.
So my hunch was right. He might really be an establishment whore,
He is.
a corporate
You were dead on. And let me ask you a question.
corporate whore.
When you got that feeling, was it in your gut?
Yes.
You know what? Why the fuck would you even ask me if that's the right decision to make? If you think that he's just if he's just towing the establishment line, then why the fuck would you even give him the time of day?
Because they had him as a moderator in the 2016 Democratic debates between Clinton and Sanders. They had him interview James Comey. You know,
and you watched that because you wanted to waste time.
well, because it was 60. It was the legendary 60-minute show on Sunday, and I you know.
All right, well,
I put it on, you know.
Here's my thoughts on this.
Tick, 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 60 minutes.
Here's my thoughts on this.
Yeah.
60 Minutes was a reputable show at one point.
Right.
But you have to understand something. When every bit of your media, and thank God there's people like me that comment on Twitter, people like me that comment on YouTube, people like me that email ABC7 when Joy Behar says that anybody who feels Jesus talks to them is mentally ill. Not only did I find that offensive and appalling, but I found that repulsive. The fact that any human being that can take a religion that is based on their religion and demonize it is not somebody I want on television.
Oh,
And I emailed. I don't watch the show, but I heard clips of it and said, are you fucking kidding me? This rotten old bitch is telling me because I believe in Jesus and that he might actually speak to me.
Well, look at how people are trivializing the illness of Senator John McCain.
Oh, but that's funny though. That's funny, and I'll tell you why that's funny. He got exactly what he had coming to him. He sold his soul when he went against his own values. He sold his soul. The fact that he spoke down about that woman going to be the CIA, or that's hoping to get the nomination and then the seat.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it'll be the first woman. She's a strong woman. She looks like she probably won't defy Trump or any of her bosses, which is Congress. And then, essentially us.
Yeah. Well, the only thing, torture is not credible because people will say anything to stop the torturing. They'll admit to anything. That's a
Listen,
different story.
it's not something I would want to see done to somebody. Do I agree with it? No. Do I agree with anybody's Eighth Amendment rights being, violated if they were an American citizen? No. But you were an American citizen that plotted against the United States and then enacted it.
Well, I have a better idea.
I can't have that kind of nonsense in my backyard.
I have a better idea.
That.
I have a better idea. Sodium pentothal, the truth serum combined with a polygraph. Hey, that's more credible than.
I think they should have probably they should have forced fed him some sort of psychedelic drug.
Yeah.
That would have made him completely euphoric.
Yeah.
And you know what? But then here's the problem with that. You would have people on the left, the far left, say, you violated his religious right.
Wait,
he can't have alcohol or any drugs.
You want to get the truth out of him, right? It works, right?
Oh, no.
Hey, man, I'll tell you anything you want to hear, Dr. Rim. You're like, man, I'm groovy. I'm cool. I feel great. I'll tell you anything you want to hear. Hey, isn't that more effective than, waterboarding or, something?
Well, painful? I think that it was a decision made by another corrupt administration. That the first Bush administration, in all of his speeches, he mentioned the New World Order. Yeah. He mentioned the New World Order. That's the best guy you could get. I mean, and it's not like anybody did, it's not like everybody didn't see this coming down the pipe. Okay, in several interviews, like the one with Oprah and a few others.
No, I'm not a fan of hers, that's for sure.
I'm not a fan of hers either, but they've always played this clip too.
Yeah.
And she said, "Would you ever run for president of the United States?" And Donald Trump said, "If it got bad enough, I would have to run to fix it." Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain something to you. The generation that's above me, a lot of those people failed due to their self-centeredness and their egos. Those people failed my generation and the generation after mine and the next 20 generations if we didn't fix the problem.
Yeah.
We have massive if America was a huge human body. Remember that carotid artery you talked about that might be clogged?
Yeah.
Well, if the money that we are hemorrhaging as a country were human blood, yeah. Our arteries and our throat would be sliced.
Sure. Why does Netanyahu need $11 million?
Listen,
what did I say?
You know why he needs that? You know why he needs that? We just got proof of that. The president pulled us out of it's not a deal. That wasn't a deal. Treaties are forged by Congress and the Senate and voted on. Those are how treaties are forged.
Right.
This was another unlawful executive order. Because I'm the president, I can do it. No, you can't. That's not the legal way. And I don't care, Democrat or Republican. I don't care what you are. You don't break the law. You don't drink and drive. And you don't give a country that has repeatedly been known and linked with terrorism $150 billion fucking dollars in cash on pallets. And fly it over on my tax dollar without running it through Congress first.
Right, and our veterans are homeless and starving, and all this money is going overseas.
And yet $150 billion was shipped over to Iran because we wanted to stop the problem. And somehow, some way, James, some of that money made it to North Korea. And that money guess what?
Yeah.
It's put into designing and building rockets, missiles
Rocket
that
Man.
could potentially reach Hawaii or San Diego
Kim Jong
or
Un.
Alaska.
Kim Jong Un has the class of
So-
submarine. He only has one, but he has the class of submarine with the 25-foot sail that can shoot, that can fire a missile, a long-range missile that can hit an American city from anywhere that sub is located. And don't forget, satellites can't track the submarines once they're out to sea. So,
Well,
it's a serious
here's
business.
here's what's great about us being human beings. We can learn. We have that ability. We can gather knowledge and use that knowledge to better this for the next generation. Or
Yeah.
we can sit back and linger like cancer. Like John McCain.
Yeah.
When he sold his soul for the money to, I don't know,
ISIS, sell arms to
What-
ISIS?
whatever he used the money for, he sold his soul to that party and is going against everything the president. And honestly, I got news for you, whether vote or not. The Electoral College worked great when Bush won. It worked great when Clinton won twice. But because Donald Trump won, you don't believe that he won? Are you out of your fucking mind?
No. All we need is one person, one vote for everybody. Forget about this super delegate crap at Electoral College.
No.
Popular
The problem
vote.
is
Cheating,
you can't do that
cheating.
anymore.
Cheating is
I'll tell you
cheating.
why you can't do that
And
anymore.
gerrymandering is cheating, by the way, too. Yeah.
You can't have that one person, one vote anymore
Why not?
because the population of the United States has become so retarded. I can't say it any other way. They've become so retarded
Well, what do we?
that they cannot effectively have a logical thought in their head.
Then
It's
so
by
what
the
do we
grace
do?
of it's by the grace of God.
Yeah,
It is by the grace of God they can still wipe themselves.
Well, what do we have left? The top 2% elitists to decide who's going to govern this nation? I mean, we can't have that either. They don't give a
Rome-
fuck about us. The filthy rich.
Rome was not built in a day.
It's going to take time. Yeah.
We need to change. Eric Holder in 1998 or 1999, when he was a senator or something,
Yeah.
I don't know what he was. He said, we have to drastically change the thinking about guns, and we need to indoctrinate that into our schools. He said this in a live press conference. They just admitted that the federal government that is paid for and supported by us is indoctrinating our children
Right.
against our own Constitution and Bill of Rights. That is, on its face, treason. That is on its face, treason.
We all
End
know.
of story.
We all know that our history books are a waste of money and total outdated. No, total lies. What am I saying? Total crap. There's a lot of things they.
The new ones are.
What's that?
The new ones are. The new ones are. The original ones, the ones I learned from in school, the basic thing that I was taught in school when I was a child, when I was young, was the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and why we needed them. And now that's been lost, and that's not good. That's not good, James, because with that lost,
They don't want
we are lost.
They don't want.
We are lost.
They don't want the asses of the masses to know. They want to. It's part of the dumbing down process. They don't want the kids to know that. You know, it's very,
Detroit, Michigan. Detroit, Michigan was the first city in the United States to have fluoride put in the water.
well, that's obvious. They want to kill off the poor, no matter what race or national, or, you know, where they come from. They
Do you
want.
know what year that happened?
I think it's a deliberate depopulation plan.
Do you know what year that happened?
Do I know what? I'm having problems here.
Year. Do you know what year the fluoridation of Michigan's water supply took place?
Where?
1947.
Oh, really? That long
Two,
ago? Huh?
2 years after we liberated Berlin and took down the Third Reich.
Yeah,
Our
by
government
by a nose hair.
started to use those tactics on us.
German scientists
You know how they
almost kicked our
No,
ass.
they controlled 100,000 prisoners with 100 men. How do you do that? Do you really think, James, that if 100,000 of us, Americans, were rounded up like cattle, do you really think that 100 men could keep us locked away? You know how they did it?
No.
When we liberated Auschwitz, I think 2 weeks after Anne Frank died from starvation. They tested the water in Auschwitz, and the water for the prisoners was 75 parts per million sodium fluoride. What sodium fluoride does to your brain is takes away your ability to fight. It takes away your ability to survive, to want to live.
So it's instant
And the more-
instant sheeple.
Not instant sheeple, just people still with their own mind, but they can no longer fight.
Yeah.
They no longer have that will. And that's what fluoride does to the human brain. It also destroys your thyroid. It destroys your liver. It's been known to give renal gland failure, kidney failure, bladder cancer.
Oh, yeah,
And by the by,
without a doubt.
ladies and gentlemen, by the by, if you go to any local hardware store, don't go to Home Depot, don't go to Lowe's. Go to a hardware store, your local
True
Main
Value.
Street hardware store, and go to the extermination aisle and look at the back of any box of Decon rat poison. And James, you know what its 100% active ingredient is?
Sodium fluoride.
There you go.
Sodium fluoride, ipso facto ergo. Hey, you know something?
It's
You
so
know,
good for your teeth.
you know what saved the Allies' ass? I think the Russian winters, because let me tell you something. German scientists, they almost had us on a barbecue skewer.
I'll tell you
should
what.
thank the Russian winters.
I worked with a guy who's about 66 years old. His name is Hans.
Yeah.
And he's German Colombian. Because a lot of Germans went to Colombia and left Germany right after they knew they were going to lose the war.
Yes, as well as Argentina, maybe Uruguay,
Yep.
Paraguay.
Yep. But this man is smart as a whip. Smart as a whip.
You know, they did UFO, I mean extraterrestrial
Experiment.
re-engineer, what's the term again?
they reverse engineered
Reverse engineer. I'm sorry.
flying saucers.
Reverse engineering. The Soviets did it. The Nazis did it, and the U.S. did
And
it.
we're still doing it.
Guess what? I love watching documentaries called Deathbed Confessions, where you got these guys
I've heard of that.
that were tight with Area 51 and 52. They were high-ranking officers, and they knew they were going to die anyway. And they said, "Hey, what are they going to do? Bump me off? I'm going to die anyway. I got a terminal illness." And they just spill the beans.
There you go.
Spill the beans. Reverse engineering is correct. And
Well, and I think we're going to get to a point where, as Americans, as a whole group, not as Democrats or Republicans or pro-abortion or anti-abortion
Right.
or atheists and Christians, but as a whole group of Americans,
Right.
you don't have to believe in my God. You don't have to believe in anything I believe in, except for one thing: the Constitution of the United States.
I
That's all you need to believe in.
I agree. And no one is above the law.
And
by the way.
Exactly, and that's exactly what the Constitution states, that everyone is equal under the law.
Yeah.
And if a multimillionaire does something stupid, he needs to go down for it.
Yes.
If the local guy does something stupid, he needs to go down for it.
Hey,
And
man,
that's what I'm getting at.
and it doesn't
We
matter.
need to have that equal protection.
And it has nothing to do with political party affiliates. It has nothing to do with financial status. You break the law, you break the Constitution. That's it. No one should be above it. But I want to make a final closing statement, and I want your take on my idea. Okay. I think
Go ahead.
because the both of us are really into natural holistic health and stuff like that. I think that today's schools in America should really make organic gardening a part of the curriculum from grammar school up until high school and community colleges. Organic, non-GMO, heirloom gardening, and they should have instead of having wasted money having a fucking landscaper come to the school grounds and cut the grass, they should have organic gardens for the students, for the young people to work on, right on school grounds. Plant even fruit orchards for the soup kitchens and food pantries for the homeless. Community parks, state parks should have fruit orchards. So the fruits can be donated to the poor, the food pantries and whatever, soup kitchens. Teach the kids how to grow food from real or original heirloom seeds as a part of the
I
curriculum.
agree 100%.
And that's all. And I'm done
I
with
think
that.
I think that if you teach children when they're young that if you don't take care of this, it's not going to last. And if you give them that ability to take care of a plant for years, I mean, from grammar school all the way up,
Right.
I think that it would instill respect for life, for the regrowth process.
Mm-hmm.
They would have healthy food to eat. I mean, that's an actual good idea for a curriculum.
Yeah, I mean,
And why that's not done, it's voluntary. No, I don't want voluntarily. I want my kid to know how to dig a hole in the ground. I want my kid to know basic human skills as well as his physics and his calculus and his world history, the right world history. Because I believe, and I don't like Dick Cheney. I'll end on this too. I don't like Dick Cheney. That man is pure concentrated evil. But what he said the other day was right. He said the left is trying to rewrite history and write bad things out of existence. You can't do that because then human beings will do it again because they're fucking stupid.
Well, getting back to the farming, I remember lots of wasted school grounds in every school I ever went to that could be well utilized. Even the parks, the community parks, the state parks. There's lots of why waste land on just beautified landscaping when you could grow food, grow fruits, teach children how to grow food, and you know what I mean. Like make good use of those grounds and those lands, and it just makes sense to do so, And you're right about.
But you do realize some crazy liberal somewhere would say, "Oh, you just raising a group of people who are going to be slaves to farm your food."
Well, what the hell's
You know
wrong
that,
with
right?
growing your own? My grandparents, the whole backyard was a farm growing up.
I know that, and you know that, but the left has completely gone round the bend, sir. They're round the bend, brother.
You know that.
They are so far gonzo, it is frightening.
Do you
And
know?
you know what?
Yeah.
No one sees it.
Did you know that some family in the South, I don't remember the fine details, but some family decided to grow herbs and vegetables in their front yard, and they were fined $500 a day because they were not allowed to utilize their front yard for produce, and they were fined, and they were told to destroy the produce and plant grass, and they were fined heavily, just like they arrest people for collecting rainwater. So really, do you really own your own home with this American dream, the so-called American dream? Oh, your stockade fence is too high, you have to lower it. Oh, you can't have a hen house.
You own your home.
You can't have a hen house.
You own your home.
I mean, you own the home,
but
the land, probably not, right? Probably not.
Well, you're paying taxes on the land, so technically you're renting it.
Yeah. I mean, heaven forbid, I
And
want to raise
frankly,
my own eggs. I want hens, and I want a hen house. Oh, you can't have a hen house. That's livestock. You can't. Your fence is too high. This is that. You can't collect rainwater. What? I mean, give me a break. I mean, it's like
so restrictive.
They don't
want. It needs to change.
Yeah. They don't want you to be off the
Either
grid.
way.
They don't want you to be off the grid. Period.
In Florida.
Yeah.
In Florida, they have made solar panels illegal.
They made being off the grid illegal too, I heard.
So that means in the Sunshine State,
you can't utilize sunshine.
I can't utilize the sunshine.
You can't utilize the sunshine. That's like saying, that's like telling Alabama, well, that's Al Jolson talk. Alabama, Mississippi, Southern Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Southern California. Oh, you can't have solar panels. Oh, Death Valley, California. Oh, it's illegal. You can't have solar panels. Give me a break. You can't. I mean, this is the Sun Belt. This is the warmest part of the U.S. You can't have solar panels. That's like telling Chicago. That's like telling Illinois, Northern Illinois, and Wisconsin or Gary, Indiana. You can't have windmills, wind generators.
Well, what's funny is, and we should touch on this next week.
Yes.
You have Nikola Tesla came up with wireless energy.
That's true.
Wireless energy. And he said it would be free electricity for the world.
That's true.
Westinghouse, General Electric,
alternate current, right?
All said, and I quote, well, we have to be able to monitor it, and if it's free, we can't monitor it, we can't make money.
Well, you know, J.P. Morgan put the kibosh on Nikola Tesla and went with Edison.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Edison was in the history books, not Nikola Tesla. You notice? Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, sell out Edison. Yeah. Yeah. And the tower, the infamous tower that Nikola Tesla built, but he had to lie to J.P. Morgan about what the money was for. And but J.P. Morgan had it destroyed, had the tower destroyed.
Of course.
Yeah, but no, Tesla was like, Tesla took an old 1940s, I think, Packard car or Pierce Arrow or one of those classical cars, and he made an electric vehicle, which incidentally the electric car was invented in the 1920s. People don't know that, but Nikola Tesla made an ultimate electric vehicle out of one of those classic 1940 cars, and that thing was like a rocket. That thing was fast, I heard, and they boom. Big Oil stepped in and say, "No way, you're going to mass produce this. No way, that's it."
There was a story I heard growing up that some guy bought like a 1974 Oldsmobile Delta 88, brand new.
I remember that car.
And it came with a full tank of gas, and for like 3 months he drove this car and didn't have to put gas in it.
Really?
And he finally filled up. He's like, "Man, this car's great on gas." He was telling everybody. Turns out, he comes out to the car one day. The hood is open. The carburetor is gone.
Really?
He gets it towed to the dealer.
Oh my God.
He puts the new carburetor on. He never gets the same gas mileage again.
I had a Cutlass Supreme. I had an old Cutlass. I had a Pontiac Grand Prix. Pontiac Grand. I had not a Trans Am. That was the Big Bird, like the Romulan Starship, right? The Big Bird Trans Am, you know, and the Camaro. What was it? Z28? What the hell they call it back then? But anyway.
The IROC.
Yeah, the IROC. And everybody wore the same cologne, Drakkar or Polo. Yeah, that was. You know, we could do a whole satire on on the 70s and 80s and all that. But yeah, but you know what? A show on holistic health and all this stuff and non-GMO and versus Monsanto's GMOs. This is a whole show unto itself. And oh, by the way, don't forget the hormones and the recombinant bovine growth hormone given dairy cows in non-organic milk. Okay, you know, the girls, the young girls with the big boobs, they're drinking that milk too. And let's see. Oh, the Help Wanted ad in the Bergen Record is down to 1/2 page. Isn't that great news? You know, and it's the job.
That means the unemployment rate is way down.
The job rate, what do you call the job fairs consist of temporary agencies, you know, which is another way of shafting the working public. You know, you don't get great benefits with a temp agency. You're not going to get a great, great benefits package. But anyway, listen. Go watch that program that starts at 8 p.m. that you like. And thank you for another invigorating week. And keep
absolutely, sir. Next time we'll talk about the deforestation of our lives.
Yes, and if you want to listen, if you want to go to that local brewery just for the hell of it in Little Ferry, New Jersey, Brick City. If you happen to be like off during the day one day, and you want to go, let me know. We'll go.
I will give you a call and let you know when I have some time.
Yes. Okay. All right. Take care, sir.
All right, brother. Take care. God bless.
Bye-bye.